So in group research meeting, what we do, in the first part, I'm going to share with you all about how to go about the thesis. Yeah, that is the first part. The second part, I need every one of you to update me on your progress. When you updating me on your progress, please share your problem. Please share your problem, because the ideas of sharing problem is for others to learn. Actually, for others to learn, when we have this problem, how are we going to go about it? So when you tell me your problem, I will provide the answer based on my opinion. When I said based on my opinion, that doesn't mean I'm not going to provide you with a solution, but at least to reduce the problem. The first part, I'm sharing with you knowledge. Second part, you need to update me your progress. And the third one, if any of you want to present something, for example, you want to present your slide, you are going to attend conference and so on. Yeah. So it's going to be in, happy-go-lucky session. Okay. Last time when I did my PhD, for your information, we have twice, or sometime twice in a month, sometime 2 months one time, for example, last time. But at the end of the day, I graduated lah. Okay. Okay, let me share with you the knowledge that I would like to share. Okay, this is actually the same slide that I posted in our group, yeah, in our group. Everybody can see?
Yeah.
Okay, so I use the terms captain of the thesis. These terms refers to the importance of chapter 1. Okay, the importance of chapter 1. Based on my experience as students, based on my observation of how students do research, most of them did not straight away go directly in doing the chapter 1, in which I think is going to waste your time. Okay, most of them try to come up with a proposal first. For me, the minute you registered as a student, you already have proposal. So this is one thing that I want to share with you all, that proposal is important. Without proposal, you cannot decide whether you want to do a research or not. So once you already become a student, that means you already have a proposal. So what happened? I would like my student to start developing their chapter 1. Okay, I read what Russell provided me last time, and I can see what actually Rachel would like to study on. Sam also have something in mind based on my assistance. So basically, I want the student to straight away develop their chapter 1. Yeah, develop the chapter 1. In chapter 1, as you can see in the link that I gave to you on my thesis, yeah, that link is actually from USM archive. Last time I did my PhD in University Science Malaysia. So that is from the archive. Usually when you graduated from universities, all your thesis will be kept by them. So that's why I just give you the link so you can see what should be in chapter 1. The first thing in chapter 1 is the introduction. Introduction referring to what is chapter 1 about, what things need to be reported, need to be written in chapter 1. And then it goes to background of the studies. After background of the study, problem statement. After problem statement, RQ, or what we call a research question. And then after RQ is RO, research objective. Then after research objective is significance of the studies. Followed by significance of studies is scope of the study. Then key definition of key terms, and the final section in chapter 1 is organization of thesis. So these are all the sections found in chapter 1. I repeat, yeah. So chapter 1, we have introduction. Introduction here referring to what actually should be written in chapter 1. That is introduction. And then background of the studies. Background of the study is actually the overall studies that you actually are going to do research on, the context of the studies. And then the problem statement is the specific problem that you want to solve. Then followed by research question and research objective. Then significance of the studies. Afterward, scope of the studies, and then definition of key terms, and finally organization of thesis. Okay, in thesis basically we have 5 chapters. Okay, 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is the one that we are going to discuss, chapter 1. Chapter 2 is on literature reviews. All the literatures reviews that we have read related to our studies are going to be discussed in chapter 2. Toward the end of chapter 2, we already come to the methodology. So this methodology is discussed individually in chapter 3, research method. Chapter 3, methodology. And then chapter 4 is the result and the result, chapter 4, the result. Okay, and chapter 5 is the discussion part, the last chapter. So basically in any thesis, normally we have these 5 chapters, yeah. And the first chapters, if you don't have the first chapter, if you are not clear with chapter 1, you are not going anywhere. Chapter 1 is like the captain of the thesis. Everything about your studies, why you want to do the studies, how are you going to do the studies, what make you choose particular variables are found in chapter 1. So it's very important, chapter 1. That's why, for your information, I myself took 2 years. 2 years went through chapter 1. In USM, University Sains Malaysia, we have what we call proposal stage. Similar in UMS, we have proposal stage. But my time, not a long time ago, 2012, 2011, like that. I registered as student in 2011. I completed my first chapter to go for proposal stage only in 2000, to the end of 2012, almost 2 years. Okay, proposal stage, we need to have 3 chapters completed, yeah. Proposal stage, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. This is what we call proposal stage, similar in UMS. Last time, I took almost 2 years to get my 3 chapters ready for me to defend my thesis. Along the way, I changed my title a bit 4 times along the way, based on the guidance of, actually, my supervisor did not really guide me fully. I am actually guide myself. Okay, I am actually guided myself because only we know what are we studying. Supervisor only saying, okay, you go a bit left, a bit right, stop there, slowly. Read the compass first. That is the supervisor. Okay, this is the things that students need to understand. That that's why sometimes you heard research, whether you do master, whether you do PhD, is a lonely journey. Lonely journey. You know why it is called lonely journey? Because you are the one who play the main role. You play the main role of guiding your study, in which you refer to LR. If you are not sure with LR, you ask your supervisor or you ask your friends among you. This is what we call collegiality, in which we refer also to our colleagues. For example, Sam can refer to Russell, Russell can refer to Sam, Sam can refer to Mariam. This is what we call collegiality, in which there are three sources on how actually you can penetrate your learning journey. One is yourself by referring to literature review. Second is your supervisor, but supervisor did not provide the answer. Supervisor only said, go a bit left, go a bit right, like that. And then the third one is your colleague, your friend, who are doing the research together with you. These are the three important, sources in order for you to succeed in the journey. Journey, I'm referring to whether you are doing your master or whether you are doing your PhD. Yeah? And so, background of the studies. Background of the study is actually you develop the context of your research. Okay, and in order for you to understand better how to do chapter 1, I'm using example from my thesis. Yeah? My thesis is intention to pursue an academic career among Malaysian public university students. The relationship between passion, role model, perceived workplace flexibility, and career decision-making self-advocacy. In this title alone, you notice that my focus of the studies, my dependent variable is intention to pursue academic career. Okay, before that, just to clear things out, maybe Sam did not really understand what is independent. I don't know, maybe Rachel understand a bit. Maybe Sam did not really understand what is mediator, what is moderator, what is dependent. But I believe Sam already read the literature review. Sam already read some thesis. Kan Sam? You know a bit, but I just want to clear things out so that Sam and Rachel understood well. Okay, in any thesis, we must have theoretical, or before we completed our findings, we call it conceptual framework. In any research, we must have conceptual framework. This conceptual framework, we show it in chapter 3. Until we completed our research, until we have the findings, until we, we already distribute questionnaires and we have the answers, the respondents, we process it, then we produce theoretical framework. Okay, what is the difference between conceptual and theoretical framework? Okay, conceptual framework is the framework that not yet tested to the respondent. I mean is that when you distribute questionnaire, of course, in the questionnaire, you have sections of variables in which this variable will form into questionnaire. So these are the questionnaires representing conceptual framework. When you go to the field, you distribute the questionnaires and you get all the respondent reply and you process it using PLS or SPSS. You finally have the result. So at this stage, you already have theoretical framework. So remember, conceptual framework not yet tested, theoretical framework when it is tested. And this is what we call one of the contribution is theoretical framework. Okay, before that, what is in the independent variables? Independent variables are the variables that you think can predict what is the why dependent or the focus of study occur like this or like this. Okay, I repeat again. Independent variables are the variables that you believe. I am using the word that you think, that you believe. Okay, independent variables are the variables that you think or you believe can solve this problem. How in first place you think, you believe. Okay. You think and you believe this independent variable can solve because it is based on your literature review. If you read 10 literature review, that means it is based on your 10 literature review. If you read 100 literature review, then these independent variables that you form actually based on 100 literature review that you read. If you read 200 literature review, this independent variable that you form is based on the 200 literature review that you read. Because you are going to ask this question to yourself. Maybe you will ask me, Doctor, how many literature reviews should we read for master? How many literature reviews should we read for PhD? So that is the answer. The answer is, if you read 10 literature review, then it is 10. If you read 100, then it is 100. If you read 200, then it is 200. But still, you don't find the solution. Betul tak? Is it right? Because you ask me how many. The answer is, it depends on your understanding after you read 10, 100, or 200. Now you get what I mean. Okay, so when people ask you, or if you want to ask me, Doctor, how many literature reviews should we read? The answer is, you know the answer. I didn't know the answer because I did not read literature review for you. You are the one who read the literature review for yourself. So back to the simple question just now. For master, okay, let me make it easier for you lah. For master, Sam, for master, less than 100 is okay. For master. For PhD, Resel, last time I did almost 300 or 400 myself. Because PhD and master different, yeah. PhD, the extensiveness is, is high. The intensiveness is high. Master, not really that. The expectation is not really that high. So that's why for master student, Sam, I think around 100 to 200 is okay. 100 to 200. Along the way, maybe not until 100, you already found the variables that you want. But for PhD, result, myself, my experience, I think 400, my literature review that I read for 5 years. You just registered 2 months, so no worry. So no worry. But what I want to share with Resel and Sam is that the more you read literature review, the wide knowledge you have. The more you read literature review, the higher the value, the higher the value of the variables that you pick as your variables of studies. That is the key. Okay, that is the key. In which, in any framework, any theoretical framework, we have independent variables. We also have moderator or mediator. I did not based on my master and based on my PhD, both I'm using mediator. I did not use moderator. So what happened is, what I'm trying to say to you too is that mediator, I'm expert on. Moderator, okay, I can give ideas. Because during my master, during my PhD, I always concentrate on mediator. So if your thesis have moderator, you need to do extra work. If your thesis has mediator, you can refer to me a bit. I just want to share with you how useful I am to you. So, but don't be influenced by your supervisor. If throughout your literature review reading, you found moderator is better, then use moderator. I still can assist you, no problem. I just want to share how you can make use of your supervisor's knowledge in assisting your journey. Yeah? But what is the moderator? What is mediator? You define it yourself. Yeah? I don't want to spend time on explaining what is moderator, what is mediator. Okay, you define it by yourself. Okay, and the most important variables in our framework of study is dependent variable. Yeah. So when examiner or when people ask you, what is the focus of your study? Your focus of study is not independent variable. Your focus of the study is not moderating or mediator. Your focus of study is, what is your focus of study? Dependent variable is not also the focus of your study. You see? The trick. Okay, when people ask you, what is the focus of your studies? So my answer is, independent is not the focus, moderator is not the focus, mediator is not the focus, dependent also not the focus. So what is the focus of your study? The focus of your study is the problem that you want to solve. So don't get confused. But most of the time, people use dependent as the focus of the studies. In my case, intention to pursue academic career. The relationship between, okay, intention is the dependent, yeah? And that is my focus. Why intention to pursue academic career is my focus? Because my problem is, the problem that I found is that I'm talking, my research is about if we don't have quality academician, we are not going to have students. If we don't have students, no point of having university. So that is my problem. My problem in my thesis, in my PhD thesis. So my solution is that we must increase the number of people wanting to become a lecturer. But it seems that not many people want to become a lecturer, because to be a lecturer, you need to have at least PhD. Not many people have PhD. If people have PhD, they also must have the, I mean, they like this career as academician, because not all people having PhD want to become academician. They want to become to enter other careers. So my focus of the study is to ensure people will like to become a lecturer, academician. So intention to pursue a career, academic career is the focus. Then the dependent is the focus. Sometimes people use independent as the focus. Sometimes people use mediator is the focus. So for this one, how they are different, along the way, when you read the literature review, you will understand. Okay, you will come across whereby mediator become the focus. You will come across whereby independent will become the focus. But normally, the focus of the study centered in the dependent variables. Okay, so overall, what I want to tell you, to share with you just now, is about the construct. How do we construct variable of studies? So referring to my title here, on the upper right hand corner, upper, intention to pursue an academic career among Malaysian university students. So actually the dependent variable is intention to pursue academic career. You see, long, very long, but still we can call it as dependent variable. Meaning to say, dependent variable or any variable, not necessarily one word. And the role of passion is my first independent variable. Only one word, passion. And then role model, one word lah, passion, role model. And then perceived workplace flexibility. Why I didn't put it workplace flexibility? Why perceived? So the reason because why perceived workplace flexibility, because I'm studying intention. People not yet becoming a lecturer. Intention. So I use the independent variable predicting intention. So I use the word perceive. Perceive. So, and then career decision-making self-efficacy is my mediator. You see how I put every variables in the title. Intention to pursue an academic career among Malaysian university students, the role of passion, role model, perceived workplace flexibilities, and career decision-making self-efficacy. Every variables in my title. This solve the issue that I have, Rachel have. Last time, remember Rachel? I comment your title. When I comment your title, because you should be able to differentiate the title for essay and the title for academic research or thesis. This is the difference. For example, there is one student, MBA student, asking me to become her supervisor. Later I will show the example. And the title for her research is working from home during COVID-19. For example, very simple. That is not title for thesis or research. That is title for essay. We are not doing essay. We are doing thesis. So the first thing people will look is your title. So if you look at my title, this is thesis. In which in thesis, we must have all the variables of study inside there. But don't really expect that thesis should have all the variables. Some researchers, they put a very unique thesis explaining the variable inside it. But they have to explain it to the audience, then audience understand it. But normally, if we can construct thesis like what I did, this is the normal one, the normal process. Yeah. So as I said, as I commented your paper, Rachel, yeah, your title. This is what I am. What I try to say to you, lah. Yeah, the title. Okay. Still in the same slide. Not yet entering the reason for today. Never mind. You two have exclusive attention today. The rest they don't join us because they have maybe other things to do. Okay. Background of the study is the contextual of your study. So, and then you go to the section. Next section is problem statement. Problem statement is a very important section. And problem statement, actually, no need for us to write too many paragraphs in problem statement. Later I will show you, or you can read my thesis. At the end of problem statement, usually we have last paragraph. Okay. At the end of any section, there is a paragraph. So in problem statement, the last paragraph, at the end of the last paragraph, it leads us to the next section, RQ, research question. So if you read carefully my thesis, toward the end of the paragraph in problem statement, actually I'm leading you to the next section, which is RQ written in point form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the research objective, next section also in point form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Referring to the RQ. RO referring to the RQ. You don't have to write a paragraph. We just write point form. Number 1, in RQ, okay, later I will explain what is RQ, what is RO. For example, RQ number 1, what is the effect of passion on individual intention to pursue academic career? What is the effect of passion in the intention of individual to pursue academic career? Independent variable, passion. 1 is dependent variable, intention to pursue academic career. Number 1, RQ number 1. And in RO number 1, the next section, to what extent did passion influence people or individual intention to pursue academic career? You see, simplified. The RQ is asking what is the effect. RO to know to what extent. To what extent? Simple, very simple. Please read my RQ and my RO is very clear, very easy actually. Don't complicate things. Don't complicate it. Try to follow especially your supervisors lah. Follow how your supervisors are crafting things. I want to share with you the ideas of copy and paste positively. You are not duplicating my way of writing exactly, but look at how I construct my thesis. You actually can use that my construct, replace it with your words only, but follow it step by step. To what extent accountability influence employees' performance in stainless steel factory, for example. You just follow the way I construct with your own word, with your own term, with your own words. Very simple. That is the secret of surviving in this journey. Yeah. So significance of the studies, chapter 1 is significant. Chapter 5, the last chapter, significant is the contribution of your studies. Okay, now we go to background of the studies. I purposely put blue, color blue, I put red, I highlight blue, I highlight yellow. The idea is that these are the keywords, these are the key sentences that actually you need to have in the background of the studies. If you look at the first one, okay, that I color blue, not only to cater education and to transfer knowledge. My thesis is about, okay, this is what my thesis is about. Actually, I'm worrying that Malaysia want to become higher education hub in the region. Malaysia want to be established as having good universities in Southeast Asia, especially in Southeast Asia or in Asia especially. That is the ambition of Malaysia. Malaysia want the universities become attractive to students all over the world. Malaysia want to say that if you need quality academics, you go to Malaysia. That is the Malaysian aspiration. This is what we call becoming higher education hub. Indonesia also the same. Singapore also the same. Philippines also the same. Everyone in Southeast Asia want to be known as higher education hub in the region. In the region, I'm referring to Southeast Asia countries. And Malaysia also want to be higher education region hub. But if you want that aspiration, if you want to establish like that, do you have enough lecturers? The problem is Malaysia have 20 public universities and some private universities, but Malaysia don't have enough lecturers. That is the problem. So I write my thesis and I want to show my thesis to the government. You want to become higher education hub, but you don't have enough quality academics, manpower. So my thesis is going to solve that issue. So I said to the government, you see, if you want to identify academics who are going to attract, if you want to increase the number of lecturers, you should not only increase the numbers, but you make sure that the academician that you are going to recruit have the quality of academician. What is the quality of academician? Good researchers, good teaching, good social work, and so on. So that foreign students like Russell will further the study in Malaysia. That is the idea. So I said to the government using my thesis, the first, they must have passion. In my study, passion, it has two dimensions, harmonious and obsession. And then this individual also must follow the good example of senior lecturers who are doing well in their career as academician. they must have role model. They must have somebody in their mind, a good lecturer, a good academician, to be like them. So this is the reason why I choose role model. Okay, without role model, you will not becoming somebody. You need to have role model. If you want to be a good leaders in the country, for example, like in Malaysia, if you want to be a good prime minister, they always say follow to Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. So this is what we call a role model. If you want to become a good academician, you must be like one of the performed vice chancellor, for example. Okay, that is a role model. And then the third one, I said to the government, if we want to increase the number of academician, quality academician, so that our universities will be attractive to foreign students, we must have individuals who are adapting well with the working environment of academician. Academician doesn't necessarily work at university. From home, either day or night, and this is what we call workplace flexibility. As long as we have the the setting of working. For example, academician, if there is no online, we still have other things on how to make sure that we can do the service to the student and the community as well. So this is what we call flexibility, workplace flexibility. And mediator is career making service because this is the career in which it involves high IQ, involve IQ. So not necessarily I pick any moderator, any mediator, I pick career making advocacy because the career needs higher level of thinking, academic career. Okay, so where are we now? So if you refer to the words in blue, not only to cater education and to transfer knowledge, but it has expanded to building human capacities. If you notice my first sentence in the background of studies, I'm trying to get readers' attention that the career I'm going to talk about is high-level career. Becoming academician, the minimum qualification nowadays must have PhD. You see how higher is the expectation. So I'm trying to pull readers' attention that those academicians that we are going to recruit must have a higher level of intelligent thinking skill. So this is how I shift the mindset, the understanding toward building human capacities, because academician is the builder of any country. If you want to produce people with higher intelligence, you must have good academician. Okay, because most of them have to go to universities, and in university they are taught by the academician. So I try to link in my background of study. I try to link toward higher education. In some case, Sam is doing the community development. So Sam will, in the background of study, later Sam will try to bring readers' attention on how important it is for this community to shift their mindset from traditional socio-economic to innovative socio-economic. This is how Sam will develop her background later on, because Sam is doing on the community development. So what Sam is going to do in the background of the studies, how Sam can drag, I'm using the word drag, can drag readers' attention that actually Sam is going to promote innovative community. Sam is going to shift people attention from becoming traditional community into becoming innovative community, because nowadays we have the online everything. We are not we need to shift the system of community development from traditional to innovative. That is how Sam will develop the background of the studies. Yeah. So in the then we go to the if you notice those I color red, it is important as well. It needs to have an ample supply of academics to provide quality education. This is the reason. And then the answer is the ability of academic. So if you notice, the yellow one is actually I took from literature review. There is citation there, night 2011. So this the support must from literature review, not based on what you read in newspaper, not based on what you hear in the television or radio. It must be based from literature review. So basically, even though you are not yet doing chapter 2, but until you read sufficient literature review, you will come across some important or relevant literature review like the one I use here. And throughout your journey, 4 years, you will come across another support. And that support can replace what you have now. If that support is, better than the one you already found earlier. For example, the one color in yellow, I came across it in my year 3. During my year 1, when I read the literature review, I don't find the yellow one. Until the year 3, I found, then I replace it. Because as long as you are yet to graduate, are yet to viva, you still can change everything. Because after 3 years, maybe you already read 400 LR. So you can use the latest one that you think better support the argument. All right. So on the left side here, these are the things that you need to answer in your background. Yeah. Until you answer all this, then your background of the study is enough. Okay, so we go to the next slide. And if you notice, I also use data. Data is very important. Like Rachel, I asked Rachel, I did comment on your paper for conference, what data you have? You must have this kind of table. If you say many workers, I don't know, I forget already, Rachel, but more or less, you need to have table showing data here, for example. Maybe for some case, community, fellow of community, for example. Maybe Sam can get some data from LR. Most of the community, they only survive for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. That data like that. So data is very important. Yeah, this is data. So I did not come across this data. I did not copy and paste this data from my sources. What I did, I go to the website of higher education statistics. I go to the website. I look book report 2008, and then I read another book report 2009 until 2015. So I read about 10 reports in one book. So I get the info from book 1 to book number 10, 2015, and then I form this table. So this table is originally from me. I did not get this from the sources. Okay, I read one book, book A, I got 2008, book B, 2009. And when I posted this in my thesis, it is from me. I should be acknowledged for this. So when people refer to my thesis, they should put my name because this table is constructed by me. But the data I get from the real sources lah. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who formed this table. So this is actually from our hard work. So if you look at the item, okay, the ratio of academician to student in Malaysian public university from 2008 to 2015. So year by year, and then how I divided local, how many, foreign, how many, total, and I did the ratio. And from this ratio, 1 to 11, 1 to 17, 1 to 18 actually depicted what is the ratio number of lecturer and student nowadays. In which this means that based on my investigation, it is really true that it is 1/18. And it is supported by the statement of higher education. Some literature review I found they mentioned but 1 to 18, in which my preparation of data is correct. Because at the end of the day, I also get 1/18. The sources that I read from the report of higher education, they did not mention how they get 1/18. My thesis explained how I get 1/18. You see, so this is my contribution to researchers in the futures. How actually we get the statistic. So this is one of my biggest contribution when I did my thesis actually. I'm proud of this because if I refer to the statement by the Ministry of Higher Education, they did not provide how they get 1/18. My thesis, I provide how they get 1/18. You see? So this is the kind of contribution that we need to develop in our thesis. Very important in background of studies. And then another thing, table 1.2. I also do this. This is simple actually, simple, but previous researcher, they didn't think of this. Only during my time, I know they didn't think of this because when I do search, I don't find this table. I didn't find this table. That means this table is what I initiated. So I believe researchers after me, they are following my example. You see? So this is what we indirectly share in our thesis. That's why our thesis is actually should be new. This is what we call new, element of what is new in your thesis. So I can say one of the things I provide the table. You see, one of the things I show people, I show researchers how do we get 1/18. This is the contribution. Okay, and then the background of the studies. Almost every paragraph I put in the slide. Yeah, I think only 1 or 2 paragraphs. So basically, the ideas I want to share with you all is that in the background of the study, you try to discuss the general overview about what is the gap of the studies, what actually you want to study, and only toward the end of background of the studies, you explain very simple in the last paragraph of background of the study what actually the problem, and let people not yet detecting what is actually your focus of studies. Only in the problem statement, then you discuss. Okay, before that, this is one of the example of my student doing MBA. Okay, have you? Did I share this slide with you in the one that I posted? Not yet, right? This is new, right? So later on, you just read this one. This is from the student pure work. I commented. So you just learn my comments here. So this is a good example of student having no idea of what is background of studies. She understood background of the study based on her reading without my guidance. So this is a good example for you too. You look at how this student drafted her background of studies and why I comment like that. Okay, why I comment like that. So later on you just read these things. The meaning, the effect. Okay, for example, the first, the one that I want to share with you, the title. Look at the title. Usually, when we write thesis, yeah, we are not discuss about the effect. We actually want to discuss solution. So my comment to her, examining the effect of working from home towards the employee's job performance during COVID-19, okay, study of particular. actually this is not a thesis. This is actually, he want to study what is the effect. She is not solving things, you see. She want, at the end of the day, from the title, she actually want to share what she learned from other people, what is the effect. Thesis is about how do we solve the problem. So I asked her to modify the title. Look at this one, determining. So this is the thesis title. Determining the factors leading to increase in job performance while working from home, a case study of Pelkara Berhad. Okay, so the problem she wants to solve is during COVID-19, everyone worked from home. How working from home can enhance job performance. So I asked her to rebuild the title of determining what factor can enhance job performance while working at home. So this is solution. If you compare the new title and the original title discuss about the effect. The new title discuss about what make job performance increase. You see, so this is the right title. So I asked her to modify accordingly. Problem statement. Basically, problem statement is the section of the thesis where you actually really pointed out the problem and how to solve the problem. The problem generally discussed in the previous section, which is background of the studies. But in problem statement, you start with sentences saying that the problem, blah, 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 the problem is this. This is the problem. So in order to solve this problem, blah, 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 using literature review, where you have the independent variable, mediator, the dependent variable, the theory you are going to use, you put in problem statement. Later you read again my thesis. Yeah. So and in this problem of statement, these are the characteristics lah you need to have. Yeah. And okay, again, look at the last sentence. I color it in red. This is my last sentence. Inadequate numbers of academics would put pressure to the existing pools of academic to perform. In view of this, an initiative to promote career in academics become an urgent issue. Actually, this is not the, sorry, okay. Actually, this is not the last sentence. This is still in the early paragraphs of problem statement. I try to ponder again the reason why this problem should be settled as soon as possible, because otherwise, if we do not take action, urgent action, the problem will persist. Malaysia will not become higher education hub. So I'm trying to reassist, reconfirm again reason why this study is important. So, but at the end of the problem statement section, in my last paragraph, this one is just the content. Hence, understanding better how personal factor of passion and contextual factors of role model, perceived workplace flexibility, and careerism operate together to shape individual attention to pursue academic career, may assist the effort to attract career aspirants to the profession. Basically, this last sentence is the leading sentence to the next section, which is research question. So in the last sentence here, where's the last sentence? In the last sentence here, in my last sentence, in the problem statement here, if you notice, I put individual, I put passion, my independent variable, I put role model, I put perceived workplace flexibility, I put mediator, and then intention to pursue academic career. these are this is the last sentence. In the last sentence of the problem statement, I put in one sentence all the variables under studies, in which this variable, okay, I go straight to the research question. Yeah, following this paragraph actually is the research question, which is, yeah, where's my research question? Oh, I did not include my research question. Yeah, but later on you look at my thesis. Number one, what is the effect of passion? What is the effect of passion on the intention to pursue academic career? This is question number two. What is the effect of role model in influencing individual intention to pursue academic career, and so on? So basically, this is the last sentence of problem statement. The next section is research question. Number one, passion and intention. Number two, role model and intention. Number three, possibility and intention. Number four, career decision making as the mediator. Later you read my thesis, yeah? Okay, hold on. Okay. And then this is the example. I will provide this example to you later on from the student that I supervise now, the MBA student, yeah? So a lot of comments here for you to learn something. I will repost this in the group later on, yeah? So you just read how actually new student, if they don't understand how to do the section in the chapter 1, they will not really apply the right method of explaining the section in chapter 1. And then research question. Research question, this is more on the notes, yeah, notes that you need to understand. Okay, during Mariam Pre-Baiba, yeah, Mariam Pre-Baiba, she was asked by the examiner because Mariam used does, yeah, it does this causing this, but Mariam study is quantitative. Does is for qualitative, yeah. So quantitative we use what is the effect. Qualitative does. Okay, this is the difference between using does or what. Quantitative, what is the effect? Qualitative, does this cause this or not? For example, yeah. So quantitative, qualitative, I think for SEM boleh guna, you can use quantitative, you can use qualitative. But I prefer you to use quantitative because it is easier. Later I will guide you, but for the time being, you read by yourself first. Yeah, Russell, your case better quantitative. Quantitative, okay. There is a question. Student asked me, sir, what is the best method? Quantitative or qualitative? So my answer is that I gave the student two answers. You are doing your training. You are doing your training. Taking research is like going for a training. Okay, you want to be trained. If you want to be trained, then you are thinking of finishing your training sooner, right? Finishing your training sooner. If you want to finish your training sooner, why not you just use quantitative? Because previous researchers already developed question for you to use again and again, just adapting or adapting. But if you do qualitative, you need to search for the right question. Sometimes you need to go to the field to develop the question to be used to the other respondents. So that is the first answer I give, which is better use quantitative because everything is ready for you. You don't have 10 years. You maybe want to finish it 2 years or 4 years, for example, your research. Yeah. But when you finish and you want to do extra research, then it's up to you. You want to do qualitative or not, for example. Yeah. And the second reason, it depends on the context of your study. Some study is not right to use quantitative. Some study it requires qualitative, for example. So it depends. So in choosing the best method, it's up to the context of your studies. And bear in mind, you don't have more than 5 years. You are not going to be doing your PhD for 10 years. No, you want to finish this 5 years or 4 years and so on. Similar like master 3 or 2 years, for example. Yeah, so this is the training period. During the training period, try to use the easier one. Yeah. So this is the student that I commented. Yeah. Everything as I mentioned just now related to this slide. Yeah. Later you can refer. The difference between quali and quantitative and qualitative. This one you read afterward. I believe you already read about it. A research objective. Okay. By point only. By point. You just repeat what you write in research question. What is the significance of study and how it is stated in research paper? So basically, significance of the studies, they are called contribution of the studies in the last chapter, chapter 5. Chapter 1, we call it significance of the study. In chapter 5, we call it contribution of the study, which you need to report in chapter 5 under section contribution of studies. But actually, contribution of studies is significance of the study. So our studies at least must have 2 contributions. One is what we call practical contribution. What is the practical contribution? For example, my study, Malaysia want to be known as higher education hub. So Malaysia need to have many people interested to become a lecturer. So I provide the practical contribution. My study can solve that problem. Secondly, I have my theoretical framework. My theoretical framework, passion, role model, perceived flexibility, careers in making self-efficacy, and intention to pursue a career. This is what we call theoretical framework. And another contribution is what we call methodological framework. Methodological framework is, for example, what is my sample? How I choose my sample? Why I choose quantitative? So that is methodological contribution. These are the contribution that we have to narrate in our last chapters. There are more actually, but basically most reported are practical contribution and theoretical contribution, as well as methodological contribution. There are other things of contribution as well. I forget already, but there are more lah. But basically, you should have practical and theoretical. And another one is methodological contribution. Yeah, significance of studies. So theoretical contribution, practical contribution, and then what are the contribution that you know others lah? Methodological contribution. The rest you find by yourself. Yeah, what are others? Scope of the studies. This is, if you refer to the scope of the studies, actually in the scope of the studies, you explain in very brief and detailed who are the respondent, what aspect actually you want to ask the respondent, and what are the variables suggested from literature review. So these are all what we call scope. When we say scope of the study, we scope down who are the respondent, we scope down what element, we scope down which sampling. Sampling mean where are they coming from, who construct the respondent, basically. This is the scope of the studies. So once you understood the contents that I share with you, you are now the captain of your ship, yeah, of your research. Unless you know how to develop chapter 1, then you are going to sail in a very calm sea. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough sea. Yeah, so that is why I said it's very important chapter 1. So that's all my sharing with you, both of you.